Great to have you with us on Ticats this week. RJ Broadhead and Luke Tasker, and we don't have 9, 10, 12 days between games. Here we go, right after the Ottawa game, and maybe the best effort of the season for the Tiger Cats. They tied their most points scored in a game. They allowed their fewest they've allowed in a game, didn't allow a touchdown, and you're going to win a lot of games when you don't allow a team to get a touchdown, Luke.
Yeah, it was a resounding win on all three phases, especially what was good watching. I was just happy the Ticats offense really had an impressive performance.
You look at some of the statistics, and the Tiger Cats in the first quarter have allowed 17 points all season. And that is the third best since 1967. So well over 50 years. Like, that's crazy stuff. So yeah. The defense has been great. And they're up against a rookie quarterback. Do you think it'll kind of be the same philosophy as they had against Ottawa and rookie quarterback in Caleb Evans? And this time it's Taylor Cornelius, who has just over 100 pass attempts in his career.
I think you can't expect that. I think generally your philosophy against that is you can increase on the risk side of your call a little bit, right? So there's risk reward to everything. If you run a blitz from the secondary, you're creating a vacancy in that coverage of the secondary, but you are demanding that if a quarterback wants to have a success against you, that they're able to recognize that and early enough. So we saw some aggressive play called defensively against Ottawa at Tim Hortons Field, and some success in the pass rush, especially. I think that if you're any young quarterback, really any quarterback, but any especially young quarterback preparing against this Hamilton defense, you've got to be asking yourself, what are the blitzes that they're going to bring and how much time am I really going to have here? Because if your eyes aren't sharp in the moment, if you're not recognizing that man zone and seeing where the pressure is coming from, the clock is going to expire as far as your time in the pocket to make a play. So I think that we can expect from Mark Washington and the Hamilton defense an aggressive blitz like we've continued to see. And what I think about these defensive secondary, even if you have all the time in the pocket, somebody has to get open to throw the ball to. So I think we'll see a good show again.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch that secondary. All of them have at least an interception. Carriel Brooks leads the league with 4 interceptions. Simoni Lawrence in the mix. Going back to the Edmonton offense, with a rookie quarterback, it would lead one to believe we'll see a lot of James Wilder Jr. He's on pace for over 1,000 yards rushing. Just him and William Stanback of Montreal are the only two on pace for over 1,000 yards. But the Hamilton defense has allowed one 100-yard rushing game in their last 8 games. I don't know about you, but I'd be surprised if Edmonton's able to run the ball. Hamilton's defense has been that good at shutting down the run.
Yeah, and Wilder Jr. has had success against difficult defenses throughout his career. He is an exceptional running back. I think that we've seen sort of a tale of two stories with the Hamilton run defense. Early in the season, we would see them not allowing. I mean, the first game against Montreal, Stanback was expected. We were expecting to see an incredible rush attack, and the Hamilton defense, I mean, held him to effectively no effect for the Montreal offense, and then at times we've seen some teams have success as well. I think this is about, at this point in the season, they find themselves, the Hamilton defense, that is, with their healthy front four, with their guys starting who are intended to start, and they're operating at a high level. I do think you can't expect a guy like Wilder to have no yards gained. I mean, you're not expecting to hold him to nothing. You're just trying to limit those big plays and those explosive run plays that keep drives alive. We'll see him. He's going to get his. He's going to be out there, and he's going to be doing his best, but sometimes even a great player against a defense like this is not enough. I do expect we'll see the same run stopping power and prowess that we've seen in the last weeks.
And I go back to Saturday's game against Ottawa. That goal line stand from the Hamilton 2 stopped them twice. It didn't give them an inch, and then they wound up kicking a 9-yard field goal, which I was surprised by. I thought, give it another shot. But that, to me, is a feather in the cap for the Hamilton defense, that they didn't even want to try 3 times from the from the 2-yard line. And Simoni Lawrence talked about it and said that was a big turning point. That was in the second quarter, and they settled for a field goal. It would have been a 1-point game. Who knows how it would have turned out, but that's a big momentum swing.
It was, and that there's something about the Hamilton defense that it's not just that they're making big plays, forcing turnovers. There's something timely about when they come up with these stops. So, like you said, that would have made it an interesting and close game in the second quarter. Ottawa wasn't having zero success. They were putting some drives together. They were not able to finish with points, but their time of possession actually they had the ball more often in the first half than the Ticats did. The turnovers consistently are happening after an explosive play, after an opposing team is stringing success together. That's when this Ticat defense gets turnovers. That comes from guys who just love football, who love making plays. They recognize these opportunities and these moments when one of these great players has to step up and do something great. This team has been doing that, and it makes it honestly, for fans, for us, it makes it even more fun because we start expecting these big plays and the moments where we want to see them the most.
Yeah, you do get that sense when the defense needs to come up big. They have been able to do that. I'm going to say this hesitantly. Hamilton has not thrown an interception in their last 5 games, and I say that because I kind of put the jinx on Caleb Evans in the third quarter. I just finished saying he hadn't thrown an interception in his very next pass. Des Lawrence picked him off, wound up throwing 3 interceptions, but that takes me to Jeremiah Masoli. You know him really well. Back-to-back 300-yard-plus passing games. He's protected the ball. He's run the ball. Are we seeing the Masoli back in 2018, 2019?
I think we absolutely are. And we touched on the success that he had the last 2 years, short of course, the season-ending injury in 2019. But I think we are absolutely seeing him at that level again. It's that combination of making big plays and also controlling what you need to control, just controlling the little things and operating. You can have these explosive quarterbacks, these exciting quarterbacks, but oftentimes those big plays that they're able to make are the next drive countered by a mistake or an inerrant throw or a turnover. Jeremiah's not doing that. He's taking his shots when he can take them, hitting the big strikes, but then he's just operating when he needs to. I think he has a chance, I should say, to get past 100 straight, I believe it's attempts without an interception. That's an impressive threshold to hit. I'd be excited if that were to happen tomorrow in Edmonton. But that comes from calmness and an ability to not let the game be bigger than it really is. It's a quarterback has a lot of things to control, but that's controlling those things very well and operating at a high level.
Luke, I want your opinion on this. Chris Van Zyle's come back, and all of a sudden the offense seems to be running the ball better, throwing the ball better. The net yards are going up. Is it fair to say that Chris Van Zyle, who was the most outstanding offensive lineman in 2019, has that much of an impact, or am I over-exaggerating that?
No, I would not say that's an over-exaggeration by any means. So you've also got Brandon Revenberg at left guard, and those two guys, those vets who have both. Brandon Revenberg, 2018, I believe, was the runner-up for most outstanding lineman that year as well. So you've got two guys who are at the highest level in the CFL as far as their experience and their talent, especially in the pass protection. And those guys up there are a unit. The communication is so key at that position group, maybe more so than any other position room. Those guys are required to have their terminology down and to be able to communicate very, very efficiently in a short period of time at the line of scrimmage and in the huddle and on the sidelines. And when you have those two veterans, Van Zyle and Revenberg, that goes a long way for some of these guys who are still in their first year in the CFL.
And Chris Van Zyle, when he was injured, some of those hot days in practice, he was out there kind of coaching the younger offensive linemen. He had the water bottles for them. And I asked him about it, and he said, everybody's equal. If I need to give guys water to help the team, that's what I'm going to do. And you just love to have guys like that on your team.
He's one of my favorite teammates, and I only was able to play a year with Chris Van Zyl, and he was in Toronto, of course, for all the other years. And I actually have clear images of looking on the field or down the sidelines and seeing this mountain of a man as an opponent. And then when I got a chance to play with him, he is so good for a team. Just a guy like that, a guy with so much experience. He's a real positive voice in the locker room. He does not, he is not a guy to get bitter about anything. You know, he's he has a young heart about him, and really great for that position group and great for a team. But to your point, coaching on the field, I mean, he would be highly sought after offensive line coach whenever his career is done, which who knows with that guy, maybe he's got 5 years still to go,
Yeah.
but yeah, that would be, he certainly has the experience and the knowledge to help young guys like that. It's very, very much so in his skill set.
Well, it's good to give the offensive line some love because they tend to get overlooked unless something negative happens. So the offense has been moving the ball. I want to ask you a few questions. Simoni Lawrence, he's a tackle away from 18th overall all time, and that happens to be Orlando Steinauer as coach. Does he pass Coach O on Friday?
Yes, and I hope TSN captures the moment where that happens and they get to shake hands or whatever. But certainly a career that's well deserving of climbing those ranks and other awards that will surely come Simoni's way. And I just think, you know, apart from his play on the field, Simoni, I've said it in other podcasts, is 21 forever. His attitude and energy is honestly unbelievable to be around, and he is a great member of a team, and certainly on the field makes an impact every week. There's no game where you and I aren't saying something about 21, making some important play. So excited to see that tackle when it does happen.
Yeah, and I've gotten to know him this year and smile on his face. I go back to this past bye week when they had lost 2 in a row, and I think Louis B asked him, what's the mindset? And he smiled and said, we're in great shape.
Yeah.
No negativity, just always positive and always has that smile and intense on the field. And
yeah.
I do think there's something symbolic with the year 2021, and he wears number 21. It's just has that special vibe about it. And his 3 interceptions, couple of touchdowns, always in the middle of things.
Yeah, 12th. Different. He's scoring points this year. I don't know where that came out of, but man, he's got touchdowns, interceptions, tackles, breaking records. Good for him. It's really sincerely well deserved.
And our buddy Rob Hitchcock, he's only 12 tackles behind him for the Ticats all-time lead in tackles. So wow. Hitch will be keeping an eye on that. He have to be a pretty big game for Simoni against Edmonton, but yeah, it's probably bound to happen.
Well, I've seen him do that too. In Winnipeg, I think it was, he broke the tackles in a game record. Simoni, that did that too. Yep. So you never know what'll happen on tomorrow in Edmonton.
Speedy B, Brandon Banks, 2 receptions from passing Darren Flutie for 5th all time in Ticats history. He should get 2 receptions, you'd think, on Friday.
Well, there's been years where I would have had no doubt about that, but this year has been a challenge all around, and it's just every team is different. We've kind of been saying that since the start of this year. I think there's a great chance Speedy B absolutely lights it up in Edmonton. Also, you just never know when it's going to go for him, and it's a complicated offense. I certainly think that we are going to have Speedy B be a very important of this last stretch of the season, and he's struggled with injuries throughout the year, like everybody does, but that certainly takes its effect on things. And I think he'll be hungry to get back and get the monkey off of his back after having, an unlikely or, rare drop from Dane Evans at Tim Hortons Field last week.
Yeah, good players always seem to bounce back with the even better performances. I did do some calculations too. He's 51 receptions away from 3rd place on the Ticats all-time receiving list. Do you know who's in 3rd place?
Andy Fantuz.
No, it's you. I'd be bragging about that all the time.
Oh, it's me.
I'll have to say that. Luke Tasker, 3rd all-time in Ticats history. I'll do the bragging for you. How's that?
Yeah, please do.
You're a modest guy, but it's a game, again, that the Ticats will be favored in. Edmonton, shockingly, have not 1 at home. They're 0-5, second last road game of the season. And when you get to this point of the season, just in closing here, Luke, I know the Tiger Cats take it one game at a time, but you can see the finish line here, and you start looking at the standings, and every game's important.
Yeah.
I won't say must wins. I'll say important.
Yeah, no, they are important. You're right. And in order to keep the same amount of control, maintain the same amount of control over your own fate, then they are incredibly important. I'll say this about Edmonton. I believe that the only year that we had games left in the regular season when we were locked out was 2017. So, we had started 0-8 and we had climbed back, but it was just too little too late. And we ended up with 3 regular season games without a chance to make the playoffs. And we played, there were a few of those games we played very well in. Sometimes, I don't know what that is about player psychology. Maybe there's just nothing to lose, or maybe there's just, maybe you have just, there's only these chances to make the season worth it, and to put some good film out there or whatever, and you just play good, and the team starts taking risks because there's really no reason not to, whatever. There's probably 1,000 reasons, but I'm not going to suspect that we're going to see Edmonton just, take it easy or roll over. There's going to be a lot of players on that roster very motivated to play at a high level and to make a difference. So it's sort of a dangerous thing to just make any assumptions about a team like Edmonton right now. And if you're Hamilton, we talked about it last week, you keep a losing team losing just by executing and ensuring that, they have every chance in the world to continue to make the mistakes they've made so far this season.
Well, we better wrap this up. There's always so much to talk about after a win, but this 4 games remain. So I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 9:45, kind of a weird start time. But if you're tuning in, that's when we'll have it for you. Again, Luke, they're all important now. So looking forward to calling the game with you as the Ticats make their second last road trip.
Exciting stuff. I'll see you up there tomorrow, RJ.
Awesome. So 9:45, the Tiger Cats are in Edmonton. First time they'll be in minus temperatures. So it's going to feel -1, -2, -3. So it's going to be a little chilly. We'll see how they perform. And please tune in. We'll have the call for you at 9:45 on the Ticats Audio Network.